Okay, I would first like to bring up that in the previous speech, Brandy brought up that California, that you want more votes for California because California has a total of 34 electoral votes. And this is untrue because one single person in California does not have the same voting impact on those 34 electoral votes as a smaller state such as Wyoming does. I have a quote here from David Benahum out of Abolishing the Electoral College. The 10 smallest states in America by population control 32 electoral votes. That's 6% of the votes in the Electoral College, yet their population is 7.6 million, or 2% of the national total. Thus, 2% of the population controls 6% of the votes for the presidency. The state with the most electoral leverage, meaning the smallest number of eligible voters per elector, is Wyoming, a red state in 2000, and the home of our vice president. In Wyoming, there are 120,000 eligible voters per electoral voter. That makes it number one. He also states that those states have 48.5 million residents, or 17% of the national population. 17% of the national population controls 24% of the Electoral College. One voter, one vote? Not exactly. So as you can see, just because you want to win more people out of California, it doesn't mean that you're going to get the electoral votes that you need to actually win right now in the current way. That's why the Electoral College should just be abolished, because obviously one vote in California does not count for one vote in Wyoming. This is due to our first thing, that the winner-take-all format is unfair. I have a quote from the New York Times stating that the Electoral College makes Republicans in New York and Democrats in Utah superfluous. It also makes members of the majority party in those states feel less than crucial. It's hard to tell New York City children that every vote is equally important. It's winner take all here, and whether Senator Kerry beats the president by one New York vote or 1 million, he will still walk away with all 31 of the state's electoral votes. So as you can see, just because you have one vote, or just like it stated, if you win the majority by one vote or 1 million votes, you're still just going to get all 31 electoral votes. And that seems unfair to the number of people who voted for one side or the other. And if they end up losing, their votes don't even show up anywhere. They just happen to just go there and vote that day. I have another one from the New York Times stating, the majority does not rule and every vote is not equal. Those are reasons enough for scrapping the system. This election, talking between the election between Bush and Gore, has been making clear how the Electoral College distorts presidential campaigns. A few swing states take on oversized importance, leading the candidates to focus their attention, money, and promises on a small slice of the electorate. This leads me to how, because it is a winner-take-all format, that the campaigning for most presidencies will actually be in a certain specific number of states instead of all over the country, as it should be, trying to get every single voter they possibly can. They avoid states such as New York or California or Wyoming or Texas, because those states are already, Texas is obviously going to vote Republican, New York is obviously going to vote Democratic. There's really no changing that, and so the Democrats spend less time in Texas or even go there at all, because they're showing, for them speaking there is probably not going to have a big enough effect on that population of Texas to overturn the electoral votes that they need. I have a quote, another one saying, at the most basic level, the Electoral College is unfair to voters. Because of the winner-take-all system in each state, candidates don't spend time in states they know they have no chance of winning, focusing only on the tight races in the swing states. During the 2000 campaign, 17 states didn't see the candidates at all, including Rhode Island and South Carolina, and voters in 25 of the largest media markets didn't get to see a single campaign ad. Another one is, many states are seemingly completely left out of the process. A solid blue state like California never gets to see either candidate. neither does a solid red state like Texas. These are the two biggest states in the Union, and yet they don't get any attention from the candidates. To move on to the popular vote, does not always win. Obviously, the biggest one there is George Bush versus Gore, where Gore came ahead by more than 500,000 votes, and he still lost the presidency. During this, many people realized then for the first time that we have a system in which the president is chosen not by the voters themselves, but by 538 electors. It's a ridiculous setup which thwarts the will of the majority, distorts presidential campaigning, and has the potential to produce a true constitutional crisis. This isn't the only time that the popular vote hasn't won. In 1824, John Quincy Adams, with 30% of the vote, defeated Andrew Jackson with 41% of the vote. Happened again in 1876 when Rutherford Hayes, with 47% of the popular vote, won over Tilden with 51% of the vote. And in 1888 when Benjamin Harrison won the presidency with 47% over Grover with 48%. So as you can tell, obviously it hasn't worked before, and it's still not working today. And then finally, it brings me to the last claim, that the public would rather prefer a full popular vote for all. I have a quote from George Edwards, who is a professor at Yale. It says, "The choice of the chief executive must be the people's, and it should rest with none other than them." Another quote from a Representative Gene Green of Texas says, "Every citizen's vote should count in America, not just the votes of partisan insiders in the Electoral College." Another quote from Green is, "Some people have complained since 2000 that if the winner of the popular vote doesn't become president, their vote doesn't really count, so why vote at all?"